Hi, this is Gautam. For today's episode of Atlas Agenda, we're going to look at Bangladesh. And thanks to all the students who had commented on the previous episode regarding the landlocked countries which you asked for Africa on the episode of Nigeria. So today's episode is regarding Bangladesh. Now, as all of you would know when you're following newspapers, that in the last few months there has been a lot of issues regarding Bangladeshi news. The primary issue being that there was a transition government, there is an interim government, and elections were to be conducted. So there were many questions on whether the elections will be free and fair. At the same time, India had also issued, raised issues based on minority rights in Bangladesh. And recently, Bangladesh is in news because the elections has finally been conducted, and now there will be an elected government. And the interim government, as we speak as of now, has said that it will resign. So Bangladesh is important because it is a country which is bordering India. In fact, it has the longest border with India. Now, as part of your general studies paper two, bilateral relations, you will have detailed discussions on how you should be looking at it from mains perspective. So we'll be sticking to questions specifically for map and prelims angle. So the first part which you want to start with is the states which border Bangladesh. Now, totally we have five Indian states bordering Bangladesh, and the first and easy one to remember in mind is West Bengal. Naturally, as all of you would know from history, that Bengal was a very big province, and Bengal was partitioned uh, during the British time period with the efforts of Ratcliffe, who worked for 6 weeks' time. So the first state is West Bengal. The second state is Assam. So Assam has boundary with Bangladesh on two ways. And the third one, which is a mountainous boundary, is with the state of Meghalaya, where we have the mountains of Garo, Khasi and Jaintia hills. And towards the eastern side of Bangladesh, we again have one more hilly state, which is Mizoram. We have the eastern Himalayas extending till Mizoram, which is Purvanchal. And then finally, the fifth state is Tripura. Tripura again has ridges, but it doesn't have extremely tall hills as with compared to Mizoram or with Meghalaya. So totally five states. I hope you remember. The first is West Bengal. The second is the plain boundary with Assam. Then the mountainous boundary with Meghalaya. Then similarly a mountainous boundary with Mizoram. And then finally an elevated boundary with Tripura. Now, when you prepare for your physical geography with reference to map-based questions, Bangladesh is important because of its drainage network rather than a desert or a mountainous terrain. Primarily because this is part of this entire region of Bengal, Ganga and Brahmaputra Delta. By several accounts, this is considered as the most fertile delta in the world. But of course, what is considered as fertile, we have a lot of subjectivity when you compare it with different delta systems across the world. But one way or the other, it is extremely important because of the total amount of silt which is brought and the population it supports. So the country has a population density which is three times more than India, primarily because of the landscape. The landscape is almost a flat plain, almost flat because of its delta, except for few regions of hills and mountains which are present on the eastern side. Like as you could see here, that is a region of Chittagong, this province, and that is where you have your Chittagong Hills. So apart from this mountainous territory, most of the state is a plain. And the border with India, we just seen right now that is the state of Meghalaya. There also you have mountainous boundary. So the first thing which we have to appreciate is this, that Ganga River, by the time it reaches parts of Bengal, West Bengal, it is loaded with silt. So this river in its final stage does not have enough velocity for carrying all the sediments. So slowly the river starts to splinter. You have a lot of distributaries. So even before entering into Bangladesh, you have a distributary of Ganga in West Bengal, which most of you know as the Hooghly Bhagirathi distributary. Hooghly Bhagirathi distributary. That is a distributary on part of India, and then it continues to move forward into Bangladesh. And as all of you would know, the river Brahmaputra starts in China, and after crossing through the states of Arunachal Pradesh and Assam, it takes a U-turn around Meghalaya, and then it enters into Bangladesh. So both Ganga and your Brahmaputra river systems emerges, but the river systems is not as simple as shown in this map. So what we're going to do is that we're going to divide the country into 3 to 4 parts and then understand the major river system so that it's easier for us to remember each and every area. So let me start with the first corner. Then we will go to the eastern and then the southern side. So we'll go one by one. So, as you would remember, we had zoomed in on this segment where you have the doab of Ganga and Brahmaputra. So, River Brahmaputra in parts of Bangladesh takes the name Jamuna. And then this is your Hooghly Bhagirathi system, which we spoke for. And Ganga River merges with Jamuna. Ganga River in Bangladesh takes the name Padma. Now, on maps, it is usually shown when Ganga merges with Jamuna, but generally in parts of Bangladesh, River Ganga is referred to as River Padma. So that is the first one, and this is a fertile doab. You have to understand this larger part of your northwestern region of Bangladesh is completely covered by the boundaries of rivers on both sides. You see that it forms a big triangle. And Brahmaputra is extremely wide in parts of Bangladesh because it brings a lot of silks from parts of China and India. So, a larger part of this territory in Bangladesh is mostly isolated from the rest of Bangladesh by these two rivers. So, that's segment number one you have to remember. Now, for the second part, we are going towards the eastern side. So, you can see Agartala here, the capital city of Tripura. So, from the west, I'm just taking you to the eastern side. Now, when we prepare, there is a greater tendency to approach the country from the western side. You have to understand from the eastern side, we have the imported river system Barak, which starts in Manipur. This Barak system splits into two streams. You have the two streams of Surma and then Pushiara. Keep that in mind. Transboundary river systems are useful not only for your bilateral relations GS2, but definitely for your prelims exam too. And these two river systems again re-emerge, and it is called as Meghna. So indirectly, the Meghna's headwaters, if you trace back, they'll again resplit as the stream Surma and Pushiara, and they'll again merge as river Barak. So that's one interesting thing about Bangladesh. If you take river Ganga or Brahmaputra or the river Meghna, all the three rivers do not start within the same country. It either starts in India or if you take Brahmaputra, it starts in China. So again, River Barak, which is part of your Manipur region, starting from Manipur, it again splits as two streams, Surma and Kushiera, and then re-emerges as merges as Meghna. And you'd have noticed that on the left hand side, that is the western side, you've just seen where Ganga and Brahmaputra merge, and then you get River Padma. So Padma and Meghna finally merge close to the end, and then you have your large delta, which also has one of the famous mangrove forests in the world, that is the Sundarbans. There you go. We have Padma merging with Meghna, and then you see a lot of distributaries. Again, keep this in mind. There are several, but we are keeping ourselves limited to which has greater frequency of questions which could be asked in the examination. And then we move toward the eastern side. And before I go to the eastern side, let me recall something which we just studied a few minutes back. This region. I had mentioned that even though most of the country is a plain, you have mountainous areas on the southeastern side. And in parts of Chittagong, there you go, in parts of Chittagong, from the hilly region, it is possible that rivers will have higher channel gradients and it can be exploited for hydroelectric potential. And if you see carefully, you would note that there is a large reservoir here. This reservoir is constructed across this river Karnapuli. That's an important river which is present on the eastern side. So when you prepare, please make sure that you finish both the western and eastern side for proper clarity. And finally, before we wrap up, you have to understand that in news there is mention regarding cotton trade between Bangladesh and United States, between India and United States, and also about capturing the market in European Union. So talking about the major export which comes from Bangladesh for economic geography, the point you have to remember is textiles and apparel. Of course, many would remember that Bangladesh is a major producer of jute textiles in the world, also a major producer of raw material jute itself because of the conditions. The soil is extremely fertile, you have high temperature, high rainfall, and high humidity. At the same time, you had the traditional infrastructure which was created as part of the British Raj. It was continued into the future until today. So, the point you have to understand is when it comes to textiles and apparel exports, globally, Bangladesh has a share of at least 9%. So going by different statistics, it is between 9 to 9.5. So 9% is a significant percentage of the textiles and apparel industry. And globally, India faces a good challenge from countries like Bangladesh and Vietnam. So this will be a point which you have to remember and also think about the population density dimension which we discussed. Population density of Bangladesh is roughly 3 times more than India. So that's a simple wrap up for the country. And as we discuss every single time, whatever we focus on determines what we miss. So we had discussed about Bangladesh. Let's see whether you can get the question on Nepal correct. The question is this: consider the following states: West Bengal, Himachal Pradesh, Arunachal Pradesh, and how many of the states which are mentioned here border Nepal? Is it all three, or none, or only few states? So that is the end of this episode. And I will meet you with the next episode at 6:30 p.m. on Wednesday. Thank you.